Use a controlled environment. Parking lots and rural roads for safety, not busy streets and interstates when first starting to drive. Also, always check mirrors and be aware of other drivers. Respect the basic rules of the road. Hi, welcome to How To with your host Brendan Elmore. Today we're going to learn how to drive a manual transmission. The first step is get a manual transmission car. This is very important if you want to learn how to drive a manual transmission. Second, get keys. If you want the car to start, you're obviously going to need the keys. Third, know the difference between the pedals. The clutch is the one on the far left. The brake is in the middle, and the gas is on the far right. It's very important that you know the difference between the pedals to avoid any dangerous situations. Remember, keep your left foot on the clutch at all times. You will always need to use the clutch when or before pressing other pedals. Now, to start the car, you push all the way down on the clutch with your left foot and all the way down on the brake with your right. You put the key in, and start the car. Once the car is started, you're going to want to make sure that the car isn't in gear before you let off the clutch. If the car is in fourth gear or first gear when you let off the clutch and the handbrake is still on, you'll kill the engine. So make sure the car isn't in gear, let off the brake, let off the clutch. You should sit here, in a normal spot without much movement. Then when you're ready to go, push down on the clutch, push down on the brake, let off the handbrake. Once it's all the way down, the handbrake light will go off on the dash. You can shift into first gear and go from there. Okay, now we're ready to actually drive the car. We've got it started, we know the difference between the pedals, the brake, we know how to get everything started. So, again, let off the handbrake, shift into first. Remember, you always start in first, you have to walk before you can run. If you try to start in second gear, the car will start shaking. You might get going, but it'll do some serious damage to the transmission. You want to make sure you always start in first gear. So, shift into first, let off the brake, then push down on the gas and let off the clutch. Think of it as like a balance or a teeter-totter. As you let off the clutch, you want to make sure you put enough gas in there into the engine, not to give the engine enough speed to catch the gears and get the car going. If you don't push down on the gas, the car's going to start shaking again, and you might get moving, but you'll more likely kill the engine. This is very important on hills. You have to be really quick with it. So remember, let off the gas, or let off the brake, slowly let off the clutch, and push down on the gas. Now, if you feel the car start to shake or stall, just try to give it a little more gas, try to slowly let off the clutch a little bit more, and you should be able to recover from it. If the car does stall, this is the worst case scenario. You need to push down on the clutch, push down on the brake, and put on your handbrake to make sure that you don't roll into anybody behind you. This is especially prevalent on hills. Okay, now that you've started the car and you're going in first gear, you're going to want to make sure you know how to stop when you get anywhere. So, again, you're in first gear, you're going along, you're in a parking lot or something, and you have to come up to a stop sign or stop light or something. So, you push down on the clutch, get it back into neutral to sort of save the gears, and then push down on the brake. Once this happens and you have pushed down the clutch, you won't kill the engine or tear up any gears or transmission. So remember, there's a lot to think about. So what you have to do, keep it in first, push down on the clutch, neutral, brake. Now, once you get to that stop light or stop sign or stop light, you just repeat the step with starting the car. So again, first gear, let off the clutch, push down on the gas, you're fine, keep going. So, you've gone past the stop sign, stop light, you're ready to go. You get into first gear, you're moving along, but you can't get enough speed going. You're going to want to shift into second, third, fourth, and eventually fifth gear depending on how fast you're going. So if you're in first gear driving along, you get up to about 3,500 or 30 or 3,000 RPM, then you know you want to shift gears. So if you get up to about 3,000 RPM, which is about 5 or 10 miles an hour on this car, you push down on the clutch, go into second gear, gas again, let off the clutch. So you keep going along. Again, remember, down on the clutch, this time be third gear, give it a little gas, let off the clutch. You want to be real careful with the gas, because if you do too much gas, you'll get the engine going at 3,500 RPM before the gears even catch. This can be disastrous for an engine. Now, you want to go into third or fourth gear. Let's say you're going about 40 miles an hour in this car. 40 miles an hour is about 3,000 RPM, right at the mark. So in this car, you would probably want to shift into overdrive, which is about fifth gear. That'll bring it down to about 2,000 RPM. If you can keep it at 2,000 RPM, this will increase your fuel economy and you'll get better miles to the gallon. This is great in the tough economic situation we're in now, so you want to make sure you're in overdrive as much as possible. Again, overdrive could be fourth gear if you're in third. So let's say you're going 30 miles an hour, you can always shift into fourth as long as your engine doesn't stall. So, you want to make sure if you're in fifth gear and you go down, you don't actually go into reverse, because reverse and fifth gear are pretty close together. So if you actually go into reverse and let off the clutch, you will kill the engine on the spot. And if you're on the highway, that can be pretty dangerous. So, if you're in fifth gear and you're going along and you need to stop, just push down on the gas, or push down on the clutch, neutral, then brake. Be real careful with the brake and real careful with the gas, because if you put too much in, it can be dangerous both ways. Okay, now you know the basics of driving a manual transmission. Always make sure that you're in a deserted parking lot or in a rural road when you're first starting. Always practice. Practice makes perfect, and you want to be perfect when you're going at about 50 or 60 miles an hour down the highway. Again, if you mess up at that kind of speeds, it can be really dangerous. So make sure you're confident with the lower gears, and then the higher gears will basically take care of themselves. Make sure you're mindful of where the gears are, so you go from first to second, third, and you don't actually go back down into second where you're trying to get into fourth. Again, be very, very careful with this. This is very dangerous, and you need to be very familiar with the car before you start trying to take it on the road. Thanks for watching How To. Your host, Brennan Elmore. See you next time.